Let the meltdown begin. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. Main event style as we're going to break down this week's UFC 167 main event. UFC lightweight Mark Bocek and somebody who trains at TriStar in Montreal with Rory, MacDonald, and George St-Pierre will give us his expert opinion and analysis on the main event and as well as on the fights on the main card. Joey Odessa will join us from Costa Rica, the premier combat sport odds maker in the business. The Fight Network's John Ramdeen joins me in studio as we're going to be breaking down UFC 167 extensively this evening, including a couple of kick-ass videos of the week. All that and more on tonight's MMA Meltdown. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues, as does the countdown. UFC 167, an absolutely stacked card. Big name fighters, veteran fighters, dudes trying to climb the ladder, dudes trying to keep their spot in the rotation. It's going to be a great night of fights this Saturday night in Las Vegas, Nevada. And incidentally, although the guest that joins us right now probably doesn't want to hear, it's actually going to be a year since this guy has thrown it down. Was supposed to fight this past September in Toronto, Ontario, but had to step aside. We look forward to seeing Mark Bocek back in the octagon, but we always enjoy his presence on MMA Meltdown. Mark, it's always a pleasure. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing a lot better. Thanks for having me on the show, buddy.
Hey, no, it's always a pleasure, Mark. You know what? I always really look forward to your expert analysis and breakdowns of these fights. But first things first, we spoke a lot through the summer as you were very, very excited to fight in your hometown. It was Toronto. It was September. It was going to be your comeback. You've been working on your game, but there was a little bit of a setback. Man, time flies. We're already into November right now. How are you feeling, and when can we expect to see you back in the cage?
Yeah, it was an unfortunate setback, but we're athletes, we're fighters. These things happen, and sometimes it's tough to control, no matter how careful you are. These things can happen even outside of the gym. But doing a lot better. Ankle feels really good. I'd say it feels like around 90%. I slowly just started getting back onto the mat. I had to stay away from the mat for about 10 weeks. So coming back after a 10-week layoff is always going to be hard because the cardio is not there. But slowly getting back into it and feeling better and getting more confident.
You either have a bright future in acting or you really are just the most laid-back, chill dude out there, because a lot of people would be pretty frustrated. Are you secretly just killing a bag or something in the gym? A lot of people would be frustrated. You're all excited and stoked to come back in September. Doesn't happen. Then you get the setback. Has it been tough mentally on you?
I was disappointed initially, but it's not the first time it happened. So I tried to do everything I could. I tried to train through it. I tried to give it a little time off, but it just wasn't happening. So I had to stop. But I hope I'll be good to go by early next year. But like I said, these things happen. Sometimes they're out of control. But everyone's getting injured all the time because it's such a different sport than boxing or something else. So much goes on. Your body gets contorted in weird new ways constantly, and especially if you don't warm up right, it could be hazardous.
What amazes me is it seems that, I don't know what the percentage is. I'd actually like to do some research on this. Percentage of fighters getting hurt in training. Guys will get, the medical suspension after a fight, but guys generally really don't get that injured. And it's easy for me to say because I'm not the one getting punched in the face, but they don't. It seems like the bulk of the injuries with fighters, missed fights, it's not because of what happened in the last fight. It's generally a training accident.
Yeah. Generally, the training is the roughest part. I've been in fights where you walk out of there without a scratch on your face. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen. But generally, the accumulation happens through the training. Especially with people, even if they're intelligent, smart, they're training light. You see what happened to a guy like GSP. He's always super careful, no ego in the gym, and it's a rough sport. It can happen to anybody, and it's really worse when people kind of neglect their injuries and try and tough it out and try and train through them. But that's really not the answer.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of younger fighters try to do, and then sometimes they're not 100%. They lose, and then they have regrets after the fact. As Mark Bocek is an older and wiser UFC veteran now. So it's a great segue. You brought up GSP. You've been spending a lot of time in my former hometown, my hometown, but my former town of Montreal at TriStar. So I think you got some great insight to this card without giving away any company trade secrets. And I remember having David Loiseau on the program a couple of months ago. And this main event had already been announced with GSP and Johnny Hendricks. And I said to Dave, seems like this is the toughest matchup yet for George St-Pierre, or at least that's what people are saying. And he says, I've been hearing that for years. Every matchup is supposedly his toughest matchup, and he takes care of business. Johnny Hendricks just been destroying people, a real legitimate #1 contender taking on GSP. A lot of people in the betting community do like Johnny Hendricks to upset GSP, and I'm not one of them. I've learned no one gets rich betting against George St-Pierre, Mark.
You know what? I agree with you, Gabe. George, nope. I really don't think anyone's going to beat George in a 5-round fight. The pace that he pushes with the efficiency that he uses is really going to be hard to match, especially for a guy who's doing a 50-pound weight cut in basically 8 weeks. Really, the only thing I can see is Hendricks doing something early with inside of 2 rounds, but. Other than that, I just really don't see it. Straight accurate punches with footwork when not getting involved in slugfests are always going to beat those loopy punches. If we want to get into the whole wrestling thing, yeah, Johnny's a great wrestler, but so was Josh Koscheck, and this is not a wrestling match. This is a fight, and George has proven time and time again he's the best wrestler in MMA. He's the best at using. He's the best at deceiving people into thinking they're striking, then going for takedowns and, mixing that range up. And he's not afraid to get hit. That's what people don't understand. He's not afraid to get hit. How do you think he gets his takedown so well? He's not shooting from halfway across the cage. He's close. He's in there. He's in that striking distance, and that's how he sets up the takedown. And it doesn't matter if you're the Olympic gold medalist. You throw a heavy right hand. When the guy shoots, you're off balance. You get taken down.
It seems like George St-Pierre's boxing and his striking sort of catches a lot of his opponents off guard, and they end up eating a lot of jabs throughout the fight. As you stated, Hendricks always looking for that home run shot. How much of an advantage does it really matter that GSP has like a 6.5, 7-inch reach advantage in this fight? Does that help as far as the spacing? Will that help him?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely help George. He's not going to. He fights intelligently, and he thinks about longevity. And a lot of people think, he holds on to people, he's boring, blah blah blah. It's like, hey, it takes 2 to fight. If you don't want to see George taking people down, his opponent's got to learn to stop takedowns. This is MMA, not K1 or striking. They have to be able to stop the takedowns, and he's proven he's the best at that. He's not going to get into slugfest. He's such a smart fighter. I really don't see Hendricks pulling it off. And to tell you the truth, look at Hendricks versus Koscheck. That was a really close, tight fight. Yep. Sure, he's gotten better. He's improved. He's improved since the Rick Story fight. But, so is George. And every time George steps in there, he doesn't believe anybody can stop him.
I said it before, Mark, and I still believe this, that if the Condit Hendricks fight is 5 rounds, that Carlos was going to win. As the fight was going on, as you stated, if Hendricks doesn't do the damage early, I don't see how he's going to outgrind GSP for 25 minutes. It's interesting that you brought that up as far as the wrestling. I was talking to somebody who was talking to Johnny's camp, or at least people around him, basically. And they think that GSP is confident that he is a better wrestler than Johnny. And Johnny's people think that's absolutely crazy. How much mind games does this really go on now? Does this stuff really matter when they say, Johnny says, oh, I hope for a stand-up war. Do fighters really try to throw stuff out there to subliminally try to make their opponent do something, or is that all garbage?
Yeah, it's a mind game. It's hype. They try and make you think, oh, an NCAA champion, this, that, and the other thing. But, they tend to forget it's not a wrestling match. It's not the first wrestler George has fought before. And, underestimating George's MMA wrestling would be a very foolish idea.
Mark Bocek with us. So is this a type of fight you think is in a typical George St-Pierre fashion? He just sort of grinds it out, racks it up, and wins a decision? Or do you think this is going to be an explosive type of night?
I think it's possible for George to finish him in the later rounds, because I don't see Hendricks keeping up with him with a weight cut like that through a duration of 5 rounds. So, anything's possible. People change, people improve. There's a lot of variables in fights, but people also forget that George, he always looks good in training camps. He always shows new tools. He shows new things. And
how's he looked in this camp, Mark? How's he looked in this camp?
Even better.
How's he looked in this camp compared to others? Like, a generic question, but you've been around George a lot over the years. When you look at him now, like, how good has he looked? How ready is he, so to speak?
To tell you the truth, I haven't been around for much of the camp, just because I've been back at home rehabbing. But what I do know is this: just coming off of this, this ankle injury that I had, it was a bad ankle injury, but when he came back after that knee surgery, that's a serious knee surgery. That could have been potentially career-ending for most fighters, and come back and fight a guy like Condit. Yeah. I'm sure there was still some stiffness in it, and it still didn't feel 100%, and he still took that fight, and to me that was an exciting fight. Even the Diaz fight, it's not like George took him down, is laying on top of him, or this, that, and the other thing. You want to stop takedowns, you have to increase your takedown defense, and Diaz is really good at jiu-jitsu. And
no, I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was ridiculous after, and Diaz kind of complained. George St-Pierre outstruck Diaz in the fight. And in a similar fashion when Roy Nelson said, Cormier didn't want to fight. What do you mean he didn't want to fight? He stood in the middle of the octagon and punched you in the face, like 4 times more than you punched him. And I don't know, what if other fighters mean the other guy didn't want to fight means they put their hands behind their back and let them get punched in the face. I didn't get that either. So I want to get your opinion on the other stuff as well here. As long as we're sticking with the TriStar guys, Rory MacDonald and Robbie Lawler. Now, people were disappointed. Now, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it's the TriStar guys. I don't know if it's because Rory's associated with GSP, but there's like a different bar set. And it's like, Rory MacDonald's supposed to be more exciting. And if he isn't, it wasn't exciting as it's supposed to be. Ellenberger didn't really bring it in the fight. Yet people were...
Agreed, it takes 2.
Yeah, and people were upset with Rory. I had Reed Harris on, the UFC exec, and even he was like, oh, that's not going to happen again. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen in a Rory fight. And I'm thinking, whatever. He picked his opponent apart. I don't know, what people are really looking for. But now they throw him in here with a guy that is the brawler of all brawlers, who is seemingly found it right now. Robbie hadn't won back-to-back fights in 4 or 5 years. But something seemingly has clicked right now, almost like Vitor, where he's just killing people. He's not messing around. He doesn't let anyone set the pace. It's kind of like Matt Brown. The fight starts, I look to finish you off.
Yeah, he's super dangerous. He's also a lot bigger than Ellenberger. I don't know if people realize that. And Rory's a pretty big welterweight himself, so this is one I'm really looking forward to. I think this one's going to be a barn burner. Lawler comes for it. He goes for it. I mean, look at that fight with Koscheck. Who's stopped Koscheck recently as of late? It's pretty scary what he did to Koscheck. But with that being said, it's like Lawler's got crazy power. But I believe Rory has more versatility. Lawler's super dangerous, but Rory's ranked I believe it's number 3 for a reason. I mean, Ellenberger is no joke. Look what he did to Ellenberger. So I think fight's a fight. Anything can happen. But Rory has more ways to win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree
and he's going to come in with a smarter strategy, not trying to just, bang with someone, knock someone out. Rory, Lawler does have good takedown defense too, where he's good at getting back up. He showed that with Koscheck. But I think Rory has more tools. It's going to be a good dogfight.
Now, this next fight I'll ask you about here with Rashad and Chael, it's a tough fight to pick.
Man, what a card.
Yeah, there's a lot of fights where it's like, whoa, that's a tough fight to pick, like Dunham and Cowboy. That's a lot of fights on this card. The Elliott fight and Baghdadinov is going to be a great fight. But so we'll pick up the pace a little bit here so we can squeeze as many fights in. With Chael and Rashad, man, I look at Sonnen, and even though, as you mentioned, Rashad, technically great wrestler, Michigan State and all that, but Sonnen can take anybody down. He can. It doesn't matter who you are. He's going to get you down if he wants to get you down. And I look at this fight, and I kind of think Rashad's not going to really, I don't think he can dance around and outbox him for 15 minutes. And I don't think he can outgrind him for 15 minutes because that's what Chael is the master of. And now he's showing a great ground game with his submission skills. So I look at this and I kind of think Rashad's got to knock him out, which I'm not so sure he can. I like Chael Sonnen in this fight. And if you would have asked me this a year ago or 2 years ago, I probably would have said, oh, that's crazy talk. I'd take Rashad. But I think Chael wins.
I'll tell you what, Gabe, I agree with you. And I think I have a little more introspective into this bout than most people or than most people realize. I've trained with both guys. Chael's bigger than Rashad. Chael's stronger than Rashad. He's the more decorated wrestler than Rashad. In my opinion, he is the better wrestler than Rashad, and he has more versatility through takedown techniques. He has a more diverse arsenal, not just through freestyle wrestling, but clinch, Greco stuff. And another thing that he has is he's fearless. He'll come right at you, get in your face. So he's not afraid to pull the trigger. He's not afraid to impose his game plan, right? But with that being said as well, Rashad's quick. He's fast twitch. So I'm going to go with Chael by decision in this one.
Chael by decision. Some great analysis and breakdowns from UFC lightweight Mark Bocek on MMA Meltdown. Koscheck, you mentioned Koscheck, and we got Woodley. People were very critical of Woodley after the Jake Shields fight, yet he got Jake shielded. A lot of people have been shielded before. That's what Jake does. Jake is a great fighter that knows how to nullify your strength, lull you into a sort of a sleepwalk, and then Jake does his thing. But we've seen the vicious power that Woodley has against Huron. As far as Koscheck is concerned, I look at this fight and I kind of think they're going to be standing up. We sort of throw the wrestling out. What do you think about this fight, and who do you like here?
Yeah, it's good fight. They're both good wrestlers. I mean, on paper, Koscheck's the slightly more decorated wrestler, but it's not a wrestling match. I mean, Jake's not a wrestler, and Woodley couldn't take him down. Jake's a lot better than people give him credit for. I mean, the guys beat Dan Henderson, Tyron Woodley, and Damian Maia. I mean, that speaks for itself. In this matchup between Koscheck and Woodley. They're similar. They both throw bombs, and they're both good wrestlers. They're both fast and powerful. So it's kind of a gimme pick'em fight. So I'm going to go with Koscheck based on the experience factor. You know what?
I'm leaning with Woodley also because, as you mentioned, you look at Koscheck, leaves AKA. Koscheck's been around, been in a lot of battles, so I always wonder about that. Guys leaving the gym, especially, those guys were so close-knit. Look, it hasn't worked out for Fitch. And once guys get knocked out and messed up, like Woodley lost to Shields, but his brain didn't get rattled. The guys that get knocked out, I'm always hesitant to bet on them that next fight, Mark, especially with a guy with heavy hands like Woodley.
Yeah, it's a close one. It's definitely one I probably wouldn't put money on.
It's a pick'em.
It could go either way. They're both great wrestlers, and they both throw bombs. But I think I don't know. I just think with the experience factor, Koscheck might be a little more fearless than Woodley. Woodley just couldn't really pull the trigger or get anything going with Shields. Shields does a good job of imposing his game, but if he fights similarly to Koscheck, I'm thinking Koscheck pulls this one out.
Mark Bocek with us. All right, Mark, so we'll wrap it up in a moment here. I'll just throw two quick fights at you. The first fight of the main event, Tim Elliott on the pay-per-view for the first time. I know him and his camp are very excited about being on the pay-per-view portion of this against Bagnatinov. Elliott's a pretty underrated fighter, actually. A pretty tough dude. A lot of people like the Russian in this fight. I'm thinking Elliott can get it done.
It's a good fight, man. It's just such a stacked card. There's so many variables. It could go either way. But all those guys from the Dagestan Republic in Russia, all those guys are super tough, super motivated, super hungry, and
yeah, they are.
Pretty much anyone from Dagestan, Chechnya, those guys can wrestle. So I'm going to say Bagautinov.
Mark Bocek's taking Team Dagestan here. And last one, it's a tough fight, this one. Evan Dunham and Cowboy Cerrone. Somebody in Vegas that I respect, who is a big Cowboy fan, actually, brought up a good point. He says, you know what, it's not summer right now. Cowboy in the summer spends a lot of time on the lake. He's fishing, he's boating. He loves the outdoors. He loves to live his life. Now wintertime, plus, he wants to get a win. He needs to get some wins back in the ledger here with Cowboy. You get Evan Dunham, who seems to be on the short end of sticks when it comes to decisions at times. Dunham always comes to fight. The guy loves to brawl. He comes to fight, and we can say the same about Cowboy. This is a fun fight. This fight, real tough to pick as well, man.
It's a good fight, and for some reason I thought Cerrone said he was going to drop down to 45. I thought I heard, but maybe in the future, I'm not sure. In this fight, I believe they both fought Dos Anjos last fight. Cowboy lost to Dos Anjos. Dunham got the short end of the stick in the decision. I thought Dunham edged out the Dos Anjos fight though, and I think Dunham has a little more versatility overall in the MMA game. I think he's a little better at takedowns and takedown defense, and I don't think Cerrone has a huge reach or height advantage on him either. Dunham's a tall order for anybody. Good long lanky striker, but there's a lot of versatility. I like Dunham in this one.
Mark Bocek, great insight, Mark. I really appreciate it. A lot of fighters, a lot of current fighters. I don't know. It's a tough fight, and they don't really break it down and give their opinion. I like that you don't hold back. You give your honest opinions as far as the fights are concerned. You're always welcome on the program, Mark. I look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to seeing you back in the cage again, man.
Hey, thanks so much. I just wanted to say really quick for those who aren't following me on Twitter, check me out at Mark Bocek. Another reason I'm bringing that up, I'm doing a little breakdown show called Submission. It's just getting edited right now. It's going to be released by Thursday. My breakdown for 167. It's going to be on Twitter, Facebook, and my YouTube channel. Check it out. It's got some good insight on there.
No, we definitely will, and we'll retweet it for you. That's some great stuff. Congratulations on this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks a lot for the time, bro.
Thanks a lot, Gabe. Talk to you soon.
There's Mark Bocek with us, and we encourage you to check that out on Mark Bocek's YouTube page. Great insight and analysis. Bocek, too, Brazilian black belt, jiu-jitsu. He's a teacher. Instructor, he really understands the ins and outs of the sport. He's got a bright future breaking this stuff down as well. John Ramdeen, always a pleasure having John Ramdeen in studio. Ramdeen will join us next in studio. Joey Odessa will join us. We'll break it down from a capping perspective. We'll crunch the numbers. We got some videos of the week. All that and more. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. I am Gabriel Morency, sitting alongside the Fight Network's John Ramdeen. John, nice to have you back from Russia. I'm assuming you picked up the sweatshirt in Russia?
I did. Great time, a lot of work, but let's just say it was interesting over there.
Yeah, the World Combat Games. You know what? The games themselves, though, were interesting as well. I was exposed to a lot of athletes that I had never really heard of before, but the future of combat sport.
Yeah, there are even a lot of sports that we weren't exposed to until we got to St. Petersburg.
Well, it is Russia, right?
Exactly.
They make up sports every day there.
And there was no surprise that the Russians absolutely kicked ass at these games, too.
Yeah, I didn't see you guys covering like the brawls in the forest, you know, the hooligan brawls.
What we did, no, we didn't do that, but I did the play-by-play for all the car accidents that happened in St. Petersburg. It's got to be like the car accident capital of the world.
Yeah, and they got the dash cams there in all the cars. Everything for legal purposes, right, is on camera in Russia. So, no, great job done by everybody on the Fight Network in Russia. Great to have you back. Now, let's keep it on the international theme right now. Before we get to UFC 167, Vitor Belfort takes down Dan Henderson. There was a lot of talk going into the fight about TRT versus TRT. With the two of them. It's sort of the elephant in the room when it comes to Vitor Belfort. You know, I'm kind of, I'm ambivalent to this, in which, you know, get over it. If it's legal, right? It's not as if though he's doing something that's illegal, or at least that we know of. But everyone talked about Dan Henderson's never been knocked out before. Well, you know, that Dan Henderson's now been knocked out, but it's the way that he's killing people. Bisping, Rockhold, Henderson, they all end up in the same way, on their back with their eyes in the back of their head.
How is it possible that at 36 years of age, Vitor Belfort continues to get better, continues to get more explosive, and he's taking out young lions like Rockhold, guys at the top of their game like Bisping, and guys that have never been stopped.
No shock if he beats Bisping.
Sure.
But destroyed Bisping. Rockhold might not ever be the same after what happened to him.
Yeah.
And now Dan Henderson, never seen Henderson get rocked like that.
Yeah, it's shocking what, I mean, the thing is, it's not as if we haven't seen that from Vitor Belfort in the past. You know that he's always been capable of those things. All you have to do is go back to his fight with Wanderlei Silva back in the UFC, back in the day, obliterating the axe murderer in less than a minute. So you see what he's capable of.
And it goes both ways. Anderson Silva took him out.
That's true.
To the face.
That's right. But, I mean, Vitor is just one of these guys that throughout his career, people are like, which Vitor Belfort are we going to see? Are we going to see the guy that is called the Phenom for a reason? And, of course.
Well, I think he should be called the Hulk now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Vitor Belfort is just a special individual.
But is it the fight, in your opinion, is it that he suddenly gets it now that he's 36? You know, we see a lot of mixed martial artists, you know, Pat Healy, you know, guy lost a lot of fights early, but got on a roll as he got smarter. Matt Brown, another guy, Robbie Lawler right now. See a lot of guys in their 30s, John, sort of go on rolls and they say, well, I sort of get it now. But can we really believe that? Like, in your opinion, is Vitor Belfort, I'll cut right to the chase. Is Vitor Belfort's success due to steroid use, in your opinion? And even deeper so, the TRT stuff could just be, hey, I'm on TRT. I personally believe that he's on some crazy stem cell surgery type of stuff. Bartolo Colon's a baseball player. The guy was done 8 years ago when he was on the Expos. All right, he guys like Roy Nelson, he looks pregnant, and he throws a baseball 99 miles an hour. He's been caught taking steroids twice, but he raised it up a notch and got stem cell surgery that's not even legal anywhere besides the Dominican Republic or maybe Brazil. And this guy's throwing a baseball 99 miles an hour. You just look at Bartolo Colon, he's got a bionic arm. So you forget about the TRT. Belfort might be onto something more scientific and a little bit more advanced than just TRT. I'm not alleging that. I'm just wondering this aloud.
The thing is, though, all you do is talk to any, not to any, because no trainers are going to come out and say, oh, you know, the sport is littered with steroid abusers, but that is the reality. There are so many guys that abuse performance enhancers. Vitor Belfort tested positive in 2006. Keith Kaiser of the Nevada State Athletic Commission says if he wants to fight in Nevada, he is going to have to sit in front of the commission and plead his case, so to speak. So Vitor Belfort, I think, It's a situation the UFC is going to deal with very, very lightly in the sense that, okay, what do we do? Number one, we have a draw. People tune into Vitor Belfort. Does anybody really care whether he's on something or not? You ask him.
Fans don't.
Fans don't.
For the most part, fans don't. We can't speak for all fans.
Of course.
I'd say a high percentage of fans don't.
But, and Vitor Belfort isn't even willing to address the situation. If you were to bring up performance enhancers or TRT, it's like, TRT, well, I'm exempt. I'm good to go. If you bring up anything else, he is not willing to talk about it.
And he gets angry about it.
And he gets angry about it. So, I mean, I think when he's working with the UFC in the sense that the UFC needs Vitor Belfort. He's an exciting fighter, especially if you can put this guy on free television. Your ratings are going to go through the roof.
But at what point do you have to give this guy a title shot? Look, if Bisping would win one fight and tie his shoelace properly, he'd get a title shot. All right, if he could take a piss and not miss the bowl in England, if Bisping could take a piss in England and not miss the bowl, he gets a title shot. So let's not kid ourselves right now as far as Vitor Belfort and title shot. If it's anyone else and it's not Brazil, and then Dana White after says, well, no, we can't say for sure he's going to get a title shot. Well, why don't you commit to that? Because he's thinking in his head, I don't know what to do. And he even said, well, we could probably sell out a soccer stadium against Anderson Silva in Brazil. But I don't think Anderson Silva wants to fight Vitor Belfort in Brazil. It'd be interesting if Anderson said, no, we'll do it in Nevada. It's something that they're going to have to deal with eventually, unless he loses.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to lose? The thing about Vitor's in such a good spot right now because you say, he gets it. Well, he does get it in the sense that he now knows that if you win more than you lose, especially when you have a name like Vitor Belfort and you're wrecking guys, you're going to have a job for a long time. Randy Couture fought until he was 47 years of age.
Yep.
Vitor Belfort essentially could fight for another decade if he really wanted to, or if he was able to physically.
Those 200K checks rack up, John.
Exactly, and you throw on top of that all of the bonus money he's getting from knockouts, and whatever kickbacks he's getting in Brazil, all this endorsement and sponsorship deals. I'm not surprised that he's fighting in Brazil. This is where he's going to make his money, and he is the type of fighter that says, you know what, my job is, I am a prize fighter. I'm a professional athlete. Just go out, get my job done. If I win, great. If I lose, I move on and hunt down the next opponent.
Isn't Ontario sort of a free-for-all when it comes to TRT and everything else?
Vitor fought here.
Like, didn't the commission say, wow, we test what they tell us to test for? It's bizarre. Like, They resisted it forever. Good job by Ken Hayashi, though. I applaud you. It's good stuff. You resisted forever, and you're like, it's not me. Just change the charter. Now that it's here, you just don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
There's just no history. They don't know where to look. The people that they said, for the Ontario Commission, it's like, the UFC's doing everything right. They have all their paperwork in order. They have everything in order. So we're following their lead. Everybody else that's come into Ontario, a complete disaster.
But it's a good
for
point,
the most part.
as far as Vitor is concerned. They can't test you for something if they don't know what it is as well. And let's not kid ourselves. But nevertheless, look at Juan Manuel Marquez. Nearly killed Manny Pacquiao. His sudden strength at 41. I don't know if they're going to the same doctor. We got to wrap this segment up. It's amazing how quickly it went. But quick predictions: GSP, Johnny Hendricks. A lot of people on the street like Johnny. I don't. I think GSP wins. Who do you like?
George just knows how to win. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. I think he's going to be able to close the distance, wait for Johnny Hendricks to throw his punches, get in close, force this guy up against the cage, wear him out for 25 minutes.
Rory MacDonald and Robbie Lawler.
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised what Robbie Lawler comes out and what he's able to do against Rory MacDonald. That's one to watch for.
Ooh, you're calling the upset here,
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Rory wins, but...
We're on a Canadian network. He doesn't want to go all out and say he's going to lose.
No, I'm not saying I know it's going to be very competitive, but a lot of people are just saying Rory's the man, he's the future. Robbie Lawler, he's washed up. No. Robbie Lawler, look what he did to Koscheck.
He destroyed him. That's why I like Woodley, because of what Lawler did to Koscheck. I don't know if he can recover from that. All right, we'll get out of here. Sonnen Evans.
I'm going to have to go with Rashad. He's faster, more explosive, has the wrestling background. I think Chael Sonnen's in for a world of hurt.
All right, we'll see what Joey Odessa has to say. Check out John Ramdeen on the Fight Network. Does a great job. We'll crunch some numbers. We'll hit some videos. MMA Meltdown continues. All right, this program is really flying by, so let's cut to the chase and get to our videos of the week before Joey Odessa joins us. Thanks to John Ramdeen and Mark Bocek. I look forward to Joey Odessa's opinion on the main event this Saturday. All right, our videos of the week. Let's start with a little police brutality, yet not really. It's not often that I believe that, the cops are justifiable in taking this guy down. They're justifiable here. Nice takedown. Now, if your buddy's fighting, you can't only step in when the other guy's on top. I actually wouldn't have had a problem if the cops did more to him. Like, they should have, just, I don't know, smacked him in the face with, a billy club or something like that, or, I don't know, even shot him, actually. I really, me personally, I don't like cops shooting people, but if the cops would have put a bullet in that guy's head, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. No problem at all. You know what? They could have taken this kid, actually, and this kid could have taken care of the last guy. Oh! Oh, man. That's not like a lucky kick. That's like vicious, man. I like the kid's step after. You want some more? Well, this kid's future can go one of two ways. He becomes a championship fighter, or he's going to be beating people up in the hood for many years to come. Speaking of beating people up in the hood, Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson, you know what? For all the criticism Rampage has around him, the guy's cashing checks. He's even got comic books and cartoons about him.
Another peaceful night at the local bank. Its account holders can rest, fully assured that their money is safe within these mighty walls. What's that? A bomb? Well, these are either the bravest group of thugs ever, or the dumbest. Don't they know that's Rampage Jackson's bank? What? You don't know who Rampage is? He's a champion mixed martial artist, a world-class professional wrestler, an animal lover, a lady lover, and a superpower crime fighter with no pity for evil. Cause crime don't fight itself. Rampage Jackson, street soldier.
Now, did I hear correctly? Did they say that Rampage Jackson's a world-class wrestler? I can accept a lot in a cartoon. We suspend, belief. World-class. My favorite part is that he loves the ladies as well. That's pretty cool. What are the crooks going to do? Are they going to steal Rampage's chain? You can buy that chain at Walmart for like $10 in the hardware section. It's not like made of gold. Like, what are you stealing from Rampage there yet? You know what? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Thumbs up to the cartoon. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more Joey Bagels as well. Joey Odessa will join us. We'll get back on track. We'll crunch some numbers and pick some winners. MMA Meltdown continues. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. We've had Mark Bocek on the program, who trains at TriStar, and Mark Bocek likes George St-Pierre against Johnny Hendricks. John Ramdeen likes GSP to beat Johnny Hendricks. I believe that George St-Pierre will beat Johnny Hendricks. We're now joined by a man who sets the numbers for these prize fights, the premier combat sport odds maker in the business. Joey Odessa joins us. Joey, always a pleasure. How you doing?
What's happening tonight, G?
We're doing good, Joey. No Canadian bias here at all with the clean sweep, unanimous decision sweep here at the Fight Network. Although we do have one vote for Johnny Hendricks in Master Control. I learned a long time ago, Joey, and I know, you never bet against Floyd. You like to ride the guys that are basically unbeatable. George St-Pierre hasn't lost in 12 fights, 11 straight wins. It was kind of a fluke loss against Matt Serra, but he responded to that loss. Yet I know you are amongst the minority who believe we will be crowning a new champion on Saturday night.
I think Oklahoma State Johnny Hendricks has a shot here. I really do. He's been in the big leagues, wrestling for, prior to George St-Pierre. He's been in bigger, NCAA championships, things like that. And granted, George St-Pierre has beaten a lot of great wrestlers, but I like Johnny Hendricks here. I mean, George St-Pierre, he fights once a year. Johnny, be arguably the same guys. I'm in the total minority, but I'm not Oklahoma State biased. I'm in Costa Rica. Didn't attend Oklahoma State. I think that they have a game plan here with Lehman and Team Takedown, and I think Johnny Hendricks is going to give George St-Pierre hell.
You didn't attend Oklahoma State, but if you could have, you would have.
Correct. Maybe I'm not a cowboy.
Exactly. You're an honorary cowboy. You probably have a Boone Pickens tattoo on your arm without telling us. Now, I know you're a big Johnny Hendricks fan, but you've been saying this for a while, that you think George St-Pierre is going to lose one of his next two fights. Now, I believe we're on the second fight right now. Now, I didn't think Diaz was going to beat him. Now, I know you believe that Rory MacDonald would beat George St-Pierre. You've said that on this show. Why is this? Why do you think that George St-Pierre, how come you don't have any confidence in GSP ever recently?
I think he's a guy that's achieved, phenomenal goals. He's beaten a lot of good guys. But, let's look at his record. He has been beaten twice. He's not unbeatable. Hendricks hits real hard. Hendricks did lose the story, but that's his only loss on his record. Johnny doesn't have a lot to lose. And George St-Pierre, he's involved with a lot of things, and sometimes distractions. I mean, maybe he's mentally capable of doing it, but I tell you what, I think that I like Johnny Hendricks here. I think Johnny Hendricks, I can make a case for Johnny Hendricks winning this fight. This is the fight of his life. This is his career. 170 pounds after George St-Pierre. Plus, you got the box cover for the EA Sports. If I'm not mistaken, is he on it or is Johnny Jones on it?
No, Chris Weidman. I know Chris Weidman is going to be on it, and I think it's still up for grabs. There's a vote going on. I guess they have a bracket, Joey. And sure, the UFC brass were real happy that Ronda Rousey got eliminated. Miesha Tate got more votes than Rousey did.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't follow too much of that, but I just know that.
No, neither do I. I only know this because I remember the guy. I retweeted the guy's design that he did for Chris Weidman. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah, beautiful picture, awesome picture.
Yeah, it was a great shot. So, you think there's going to be a new champ here? It'll be interesting to see what happens because if Rory MacDonald wins, I think Rory would have already probably.
When Rory MacDonald wins, you meant to say?
Yeah. Well, what against Robbie Lawler? You like? You like him?
He's going to beat him. Yes.
Yeah, his footwork and he's so technical, Rory MacDonald. He doesn't get the credit for. All right, so let's squeeze in as much as we can here. You like Johnny Hendricks. If you want to hear the prelim stuff, tune into Sirius XM, channel 167 every Tuesday night. But I tell you guys that every week if you want to hear Joey break down all the fights. But it's a nice card here, Joey. So you like Hendricks. You like Rory MacDonald. We got Chael and Rashad here. We're kind of, people are debating this one. This one is up in the air here. I like Chael Sonnen to win this fight. Even though Rashad's got that speed advantage, I think Chael Sonnen can inflict his will a little bit more.
I'm a fan of both fighters, but it's Chael for me here. Puts him in a tough predicament because, Chael keeps losing the champs. He keeps stepping up. What happens here? He's got the Ultimate Fighter Brazil with Silva if that goes through, right?
Yeah, which helps him.
Loss here doesn't help that.
No, but it takes pressure off him, Joey. The guy's playing with house money. He's lined up with a TV gig and another fight no matter what happens in this fight, win or lose. Next to GSP, Chael Sonnen is making the most money out of anybody. The guy's working all the time.
That's his, he's right wing. He should be. That he believes in hard work, pays off in the end.
What are you talking about?
That's the Republican
he's a convicted real estate fraud. He believes in hard work. He believes in ripping.
I mean, they're all crooks.
He believes
Let's not go down the Toronto mayor.
Hey,
I'm
listen.
a fan of his.
Hey, God bless Rob Ford. He's been a guest on this show. He's a great mayor. But Chael Sonnen. I'll say Chael Sonnen's a good fighter. I'm willing to bet on it, but let's not say he's a great worker. The guy rips people off in fraudulent real estate deals.
Well, that takes work. Otherwise, everybody'd be getting ripped off in real estate deals. Come on, give the guy credit. I mean, he got caught.
He got caught.
I mean, seriously, you think he got caught?
All right, we're getting off track. We're getting off track.
Off topic, okay.
I like Sonnen to win the fight. We only got like a minute left here, Joey. Dunham and Cowboy Cerrone could be fight of the night. Evan Dunham always bleeds. Cowboy comes to fight. Cowboy's been in a lot of wars over the years. Might be a step slower right now. I think this is it for Evan Dunham. You talk about a big fight. Dunham's always a day late, dollar short in great fights. He needs to win this fight.
Well, you know what? So was Jeremy Stevens last week, and look what happened there. I mean, not the rearview mirror, but...
Those Brazilian Ultimate Fighters suck, man. Like, they're all hyped up. You know, they're no good. They slap some tattoos and a hockey mask on a guy, and, they hype him up.
Well, Vitor is definitely not sharing something. I mean, because it's beyond luck now. Vitor is 24 years old again, and he's either... there's nothing else available for those guys, or he's just keeping it all to himself, because I haven't seen a Vitor like that since I was a kid.
Follow Joey on Twitter, at MMA Odds. Joey Odessa. Always a pleasure, Joey.
My pleasure, Gabe. Have a good one.
So, Joey, I throw Joey a couple of late curveballs. MMA Meltdown of the Fight Network continues. All right, thanks to Mark Bocek, thanks to John Ramdeen, and thanks to Joey Odessa. Odessa's in the minority in liking Johnny Hendricks. I like George St-Pierre. I learned a long time ago not to bet against George St-Pierre. For all of my UFC picks, check out sportsragetv.com. I post picks the day of the card. And don't forget to tune in to Corey Erdman's This Week in Boxing, SiriusXM Channel 167, Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. And then we step up and in with MMA Meltdown Radio, Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock, SiriusXM Channel 167. We break down all the fights and more. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.